What's going on, friends? Welcome to another episode of the You Glow Nurse podcast. Today, I have a great one for you. I'm super excited to talk to my guest, my friend, Wendy Garvin Mayo. And I am excited because this season, we're talking all things purpose. We're talking about redefining your purpose, restoring your purpose, and she has a wealth of knowledge to share with us, and I'll read her bio here in a moment. But just to let you know, season 4, we're back in action, y'all. We're talking all things purpose. And the reason why I wanted to focus in on purpose as nurses, as caregivers, we tend to give so much to others. That is our calling, that is our serving. But somewhere along the way, maybe life just happens, unexpected things happen. It happens to us all where we get off track. Something happens, maybe you're doing something new, you're getting out of your comfort zone. For me, I had some challenges during the middle of the year. Some health things came up. I started questioning myself. I became unsure of what to do next. Am I going to let this thing hold me back? Am I going to let this mindset keep me stuck? Or am I going to decide to push forward? Am I going to decide to pivot? What is going to come of this situation? It really challenged my faith, how I trusted God in that season, and really understanding myself and my purpose better as a caregiver, as a nurse, as an entrepreneur. And as Fallon, we are first and foremost ourselves. We are first and foremost me. I am first and foremost me. Before I can go give and care for anyone else, I have to take care of me first. So, what did that look like for me in my purpose redefining, purpose restoring season? So, that's what we're talking about in season 4. And I'm excited to have on many more guests this season. So, stay tuned. If you are watching live or listening right now to the podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the wellness community for nurses. All right, let's bring up Wendy. But before we do, I want to read and share a little bit about this lady's latest accomplishments and so much more. All right, Wendy Garvin Mayo is an APRN, ANP-BC, and she is a passionate board-certified nurse practitioner with 20 plus years of experience in healthcare in various sectors such as clinical leadership, research, academia, and pharmaceuticals. Mrs. Mayo launched into nurse entrepreneurship as a stress solution strategist, emotional intelligence consultant, international speaker, and certified John Maxwell coach and trainer. Wendy is the founding CEO of the Stress Blueprint, the #1 stress management coaching and consulting firm for nurses and healthcare professionals. She is also the host of the Nurse Wellness Podcast. Mrs. Mayo is looking for every opportunity to empower current and inspiring nurses and healthcare professionals to manage stress by leveraging emotional intelligence so that they can cultivate well-being and serve the world with purpose. Ended it with purpose. Let's start with purpose. All right, let's bring her on. Wendy, let's see.
Hello.
Hey, hey. Let's see if this thing will act right. Bear with us, y'all. Okay, there we go. Miss Wendy, how are you? Thanks for hopping on, friend. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Fallon. I'm so excited to be on your podcast finally.
I know we've been talking about this. Wendy is a dear friend and she's been holding it down. She's been holding me accountable for the last few years. And there was a time that she inspired me. We got together and connected about her passions. Clearly, nurse wellness. That's our thing. That's our lingo. Or we're on the same page. And she inspired me. Like, hey, put this thing in action. Do it.
Yes.
What are you waiting for? I loved it. Thank you so much.
More than welcome.
For sure, for sure. Let me pull up our notes so we can get into it. But yeah, how you been doing? What's new? I love all the wonderful things that you're working on.
Yes. A lot of things going on right now. Business is good. A lot of training, a lot of speaking opportunities, new business endeavors. So that's to come. We were working on a new consulting firm. But yeah, it's all good
Yes.
things. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So I definitely wanted to have you on to share more about purpose. How did you get to this finding of your purpose? And you focus on a lot of stress management, emotional intelligence. So when it comes to finding your purpose, how has stress helped you or hindered you in finding your purpose?
Yeah, so the
Let's start
funny thing is, I really found my true purpose through stress. And the story is in March of 2020, during the pandemic, I was a new mom, just had my son, newly married. My mother was here because, we just had the baby. And I was working from home at that time, and I was struggling. I was really struggling because I'm a nurse practitioner, and I'm here in the comfort of my home watching the number of COVID-19 deaths on the screen, just increase. And I was having internal turmoil. And in retrospect, I say I was wrestling with my purpose because I wanted to go back to the front lines to serve. But how can I want to do that? I felt guilty. I have this new baby, my elderly mother, my husband, and then there's this virus out there killing people. But I want to go back into the hospital to serve my patients. So I struggled with that for a little while. And I have to tell you, that experience really taught me the power of making a decision. And I made the decision to go back to the front lines, and it alleviated all of that turmoil, all of that stress. So that one decision really changed my life, Alan, and it showed me that I can serve on a much bigger level. And that's really how I launched into entrepreneurship. And on this journey, I'm fully aware that my titles, my degrees do not define my purpose. My purpose is to serve the world. And I don't have to be tied to an organization, a healthcare institution, a clinic, or nothing in order to really align with my purpose.
Oh, I love that. Said so many great things. And I want to go back to that making the decision part. Like how when someone is stressed, like we know it affects our body. It's like that fight or flight. And then let's talk add COVID in there, personal things with your family. Like it can be hard to make a decision. So how did you navigate? Like, okay, I need to make a decision. Is it part of your personality? Is that the type of person that you are? Like, because I was telling you just earlier, like I'm a analysis paralysis type sometimes. So how did you just like step into like, okay, I'm gonna make a decision from this?
Yeah, so my late grandfather told me something when I graduated from nursing school in 2004, and he has now passed away. But at that time, this really resonated with me. He told me, and I still have the trophy he gave me of a ship. And he told me, in this chapter of your life, you have to set your sail. And that's what I
Mm,
hung my hat on. Setting your sail is aligning with your purpose. And that helped me make the decision, along with having a conversation with my husband, who was very supportive of me going back, whatever you want to do. He was there. But yeah, making that decision just really it was a game changer, because I was no longer stressed. I had no fear. I was good. And it's so crazy because I'm going back to the hospital where this virus is killing people, but I was in the hospital just feeling so good and fulfilled, just being there with my cancer
mm,
patients. So it was an
yeah.
amazing experience, and I've never in my life felt that before. So, yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Such wisdom from the generation before us. Like sometimes I don't know about you, but I got in my season where look, I'm gonna figure this out. I don't need to listen to y'all. Like I can do this. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, especially to my parents and older generation before me. But just hearing that knowledge from your grandfather and like, okay, how am I gonna set my sail? I'm like, that is like really that it was good. Like for somebody that's just starting out as a nurse, like, you can I don't even know if he was in the medical field. Like, did he know like anything, right? Like if you get into the medical field, you go in there with one way of thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to serve people." And you end up getting a hard slap of reality, like, and it can sway you from your purpose. Like, if you're not grounded, if you don't set your sails and you're not like, okay, this is where I want to go, this is what my purpose is really about. Like, I'm about serving. Like, that's what it's about, no matter the institution where I'm at. So I love that you definitely practice that groundedness. Like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to serve, despite whatever comes my way. So just tell us about that. Like, how did you get to that place? Like, that mindset of like a grounded. That's what I hear you saying. Like, just grounding yourself. Um, with
Yeah, it was really just honoring myself, honoring that feeling that I had in my belly, because it would not let me sleep. I was not sleeping at night. In the daytime, I was sitting there with a headache, with this pit in my stomach, with that heaviness on my chest, just wrestling with the fact that I want to serve. Never
yeah.
have I ever felt that before. And making the decision it changed my life, I would say. It truly changed my life. And the way you get grounded is really listening to yourself. You have all the answers. We have the answers. We look for external validation, but we already know.
Mhm.
And that shift that's happening, that decision you need to make, you feel it in your belly. You feel it, that intuition, you know the right thing to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we ask people and we're just delaying, right? We want to ask, no, let me ask this person. No, let me ask this person. Well, let me ask it a little differently. But we know the answer. We know the answer. But it comes to really trusting yourself. And I think that comes with experience. Because if you trust yourself, you're never going to really make a wrong decision,
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
right? You make a decision, this is not what I thought. Okay, it's a learning experience. Then you make another decision, right? So it's all about decision making. And with that, it's so important to have support, have community, have accountability, have that outlet. So you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do anything in this world alone,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I love that. It's so interesting, like from this whole stressful moment. Many of us in healthcare, we had that life-changing moment from a stress that was like no other, and society, maybe people will tell you like you don't avoid stress. It is not good, manage it, right? Like, but through the stress, you found clarity. You found another elevation of your purpose, like, and it was through the hard times. Unfortunately, you got to go through some things to get through some things. That's what I like to say. Like, if you want to go get to the other side, you got to go through it. Like, you want to move on, you want the clarity, you want the purpose, then unfortunately you're going to experience stress. So the stress is a good thing. Like, and that's something that you talk about all the time, like how to manage stress, and how to work through it, use your emotional intelligence, things like that. So how does even the emotional intelligence help you identify your purpose?
yeah, so emotional intelligence, there are four pillars to emotional intelligence. And the first one, I love it. It's self-awareness. Who the hell
What
are
you've
you?
been talking about right now. Yeah.
Right? It's who are you? Do you know yourself? Do you know your triggers? Do you know your likes? Do you know your dislikes? Right? I like to talk about identities, right? Like, who are you? Who do people perceive you to be? And who do you think you are? Right? So it starts with
Mm,
that self-awareness. And you then, with that self-awareness, you can take that and regulate how you operate or show up in the world. Right? That's the self-management piece, how you manage yourself. And then once you have all those together, the second part of emotional intelligence is how you interact with the world. Are you able to show empathy to someone else? Are you able to develop and maintain healthy relationships? Right? So with
mm,
all of that, and I like to focus on that first pillar, that self-awareness, that's going to help you with stress management,
mm,
knowing when you're stressed, knowing when you need to reset, right? Knowing when enough is enough, knowing when you need to set boundaries, reset boundaries. right? So knowing when you're at capacity, that's huge. Sometimes we just go and we're not even assessing our capacity, right? Knowing what your purpose is and knowing that your purpose can change. You're not locked in. You can wake up tomorrow and it's like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And that's okay. That's okay. But you being okay with that. So that's where the emotional intelligence comes in with stress management, with purpose, is knowing self. And as humans, we evolve. So you have to sometimes sit down and reassess, who are you? What do you want today? And then, more importantly, reintroduce yourself to the world.
Mm, I
So
love that.
it all goes hand in hand. It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah. I hear you just saying a lot of self-awareness, just being very self-aware. Like growing up in a Latino culture, there isn't a lot of self things. It's very community, others focused, very like let's help the collective all together. There isn't really this like self-identity, self-awareness, not so much. So for me, just this whole concept and just this whole learning like of self-awareness, like being aware of me, like what I like exactly what you said, all of those things, like learning my triggers, learning my likes, my dislikes, that has been an evolving practice for me, like just over time. And I hear you also saying like being flexible in it. Like sometimes we get so rigid, it's just like it has to be this way. Like for me growing up, it was always you have to go to school, you have to be the good daughter, you have to show up this certain way in order to be accepted. So now in my journey of like learning my purpose as a nurse, as Fallon, just what do I want to do in this world? How do I want to show up in this world? There is a lot of self-acceptance, self-compassion as well in this season, like with the flexibility, just hey, if I don't want to do that today, it's okay. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. It don't mean I messed up. It just means maybe it's time for a pivot. Maybe it's time for a change. And oh man, it's been a process, but it's so needed. As caregivers too, like as healthcare providers, where things are changing always, like always going to be changing. Just making sure that we're grounded in who we are and self-awareness over time, it develops and it comes with time, like you said. Like I went to jury duty the other day, and the judge, I just always try to get something from wherever I go, but the judge was this like seasoned guy, and he was sharing his journey. He was like, I was an attorney, I was a lawyer for so and so many years, and now I sit before you as a judge today. And I was like, look, but I trust you with everything. Like I want to show up because he shared that journey. Not saying that you have to be old and gray, to have purpose, but that seeing his journey, seeing that it evolved, like he grew, like attorney, lawyer, put in work, put in time, and then now judge. Now he's just like embodying this this him being a judge in this new season. Like so I just loved it, and it just gave me a new, like I just heard that when you were talking about over time, how things happen, like you evolve over time, and that's okay. Allowing space for your purpose, I think it's so important for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's giving yourself grace. I like to say emotional agility. Sometimes we're just so
Mm,
hard on ourselves, but even being flexible with your emotions, let yourself feel, right? What does that
yeah.
feel like, right?
Mm,
Sometimes you got to finish that cycle of that emotion and get to the next one. Sometimes we just
yeah,
try to, switch up before we even let ourselves get through it, but let yourself feel it. Let yourself get through it, you know? Yeah.
and that's
And I
what we
think
do as nurses.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what you're talking about too is, just from your culture, it's the shackles, right? The
Mm,
shackles of how society expect us to be. But in this day and age, it's breaking those shackles and creating your own
mhm.
lane, right?
Yeah. And we're the generation, we're doing it now, like, it's different.
Absolutely.
It hasn't been done. So, you're doing the different things. So it's going to take time. It's going to take a process. That's something that I have to remind myself. Like, I'm doing things differently. I'm in my 30s. I haven't gotten married yet. I'm still working on my career. It's different for me, and that's okay. No shame in my game. Like, everybody has their different road. But just giving myself grace and walking in it, for sure, for sure. So let's
And
go
I think
back
it's
to,
important.
yeah, yeah,
Can I
yeah.
just say
Go
this?
for it.
I think it's
Yeah.
important to, as you shift and grow and evolve, it's important to be in the right community. So you said something very important about the judge. This judge had an impact on you, his journey, right? Now you can be around someone that maybe brings you another way, not making you feel good or making you feel inspired, right? Someone that's beating you down, right? So who is in your circle? Do an assessment of that. Are
Yeah.
they adding to your purpose, or are they taking away? Are they moving you further away from your purpose? Assess those people in your circle, family and all. Start with them
Yes.
first.
Yes. Oh
Right?
my God.
Start
Yes.
with them.
Like, you're hurting some feelings right now. Like, you just look, start with family first.
Yes, yes,
And it
that's
doesn't
very
mean throw
important.
them all away.
Not all of
It,
them, but do an assessment.
maybe some. Look, seriously, not all of them, but do an assessment, right? Like, oh man, it's yeah, definitely your circle. Like what I was saying earlier about how nurses, like, that's something that we do when it comes to like our feelings and being aware of ourselves. Like, we tend to just get up and go. Like, that's how we are. We're programmed that way. And if we all like go that way, like, we're all just like very like desensitized, like, that's not healthy to, you know, evolving either. Like, it's kind of like a protection barrier. I think that's why they do it. We do it. Yeah, that's why we do it. We just desensitize ourselves. We like try to, because we see some crazy things for sure. So how does someone maybe like break out of that cycle and maybe break away from those norms as nurses? Because I see a lot of like cynical things online, like, nurses, this is how we deal with stress. We go out, we have some drinks, like, we're always at happy hour. We're the nurses that, we're tough to the bone. Like, like, how does someone break out of that and, use the stressors that they experience, not in a way to become cynical, but like, okay, let me elevate, let me get to the next level.
Yeah, they have to have an open mind. And just going back to nurses and stress, it's kind of ingrained in us. If you think about
Mhm.
your nursing school journey, right? Nursing school is very stressful. You think about graduating, think about studying for your NCLEX, stress. You think about launching out into the workforce, stress. Throughout the whole process, no one is talking about stress management. No one is really giving you tools, right? So it kind of becomes a norm, and going out drinking or being cynical is the way you deal with it. So that's what we are taught to. We're taught to kind of figure out our own tools, but I think it's having an open mind to try new things, meet a new friend, right? Try something different, do something different before you
Yeah.
judge. We always judge, and then that prevents us from really trying to step out and do something different.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The judgment part, like, this is gonna be hard. This is too much work. I don't
Yeah.
know if I want to do this. But if you're tired of feeling the same way, if you're tired of coming home and crying every day, that was one thing that I was like, look, this is something needs to change. Every day after work, I would desensitize myself so much. By the end of the 12-hour shift, I was like, finally, oh, I can breathe now, I can feel my feelings. And I was crying the whole ride home because I
Yeah.
would not allow myself to even go to the restroom. There was so much guilt about, like, I get to go home and my patients don't. Like, there was so much there where, like, I would just like, okay, this is how I need to do. I need to go scroll on TikTok or whatever. TikTok wasn't out then, but like I have to distract myself so that I
Right.
don't feel these feels. But it has to be that decision, going back to what you said earlier. Like, you got to make a
Yeah.
decision and for your well-being. And I think that stress helps us, like the stress, like it helps us on the test. Well, it helps you
Mhm.
make decisions, it helps you move forward. And maybe today it's like, okay, I'm gonna journal instead of going out and buying up all the Target, because that's another way that I distract myself. I go to Target and leave with more than what I was supposed to.
Of
Like,
course. Of
today I'm
course.
gonna journal. Today maybe I'll reach out to a friend, and it's like that decision. And it doesn't always have to be perfect. Maybe it's
Right.
like, okay, one decision. Okay, it wasn't that perfect. Next decision, like you said, like one decision. I think, was that us talking earlier, or was that on the
No,
podcast?
yeah, no,
One
you're
decision.
right. Yep. One decision. If that one doesn't work, make another decision. Yes.
Yeah,
The freedom of
yeah,
decision making.
yeah. And I am a analysis paralysis, so I will just stay in my brain. And my therapist even yesterday, we were talking about it, and it was like, you got to write that stuff out. What your purpose, put it in paper, put it to the black and white, get you a whiteboard, so that you can remind yourself. We get bombarded with messages every day from society, from social media, of course, social media, from our family members. But what is your purpose? Reminding yourself, writing that thing out, and like looking at it every day. And then if it changes, okay, cool. Like, this is next, and
Right.
as
Absolutely.
women, things are gonna change, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're evolving, and Wendy is definitely someone that is doing that. She's a mom. We heard baby crying in the background. Oh, baby is sad. She's
Oh
a
yeah.
mom.
Oh yeah.
She's an entrepreneur. She's a wife. She's a full-time nurse. She's in school. Like, how do you take care of you? Like, what's your self-care? I want to pivot a little bit to self-care, but if you wanted to add anything, let me know to what we were just talking about.
No, I think what's my self-care? I love going to yoga and I
Mm.
need time alone. That's my self-care. I need to really create the time and space for me to process. Because I'm a thinker too. I'm very analytical. A lot's going on in my mind. I'm thinking very fast. Journaling is another one. Love it. Love creating distance between me and my thoughts so I can, assess them appropriately and get them out of my
Mhm.
head. But those are like my go-tos. And then a nice hot shower, massage. I do that
Ooh.
too. And these are things I actually do. So I'm not even saying like, but I go for a massage. I just restarted yoga. I do take time for myself and, I do write in my journal. So those are the things I actually implement myself. And I know those work for me, right? So
Yeah.
those are things that I know work for me. And I know when I'm starting to feel that heavy feeling, I got to start making some changes. Got to start making some changes.
Mm.
So
Like
I,
you
I
were
know.
saying before.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That's when I know we definitely got to start shifting and making some changes. But yeah, those are my self-care go-tos. And people always say like, how do you balance it? And to me, there's no such thing of balancing it. Something's always gonna, like, my son, when I go upstairs, that's gonna be it. Nothing else is going to matter, right? So there's no balancing there. Right now I'm doing this. What am I balancing right now? You know what I mean? So it's really where you focus your energy, right? And I think as a society, we try to do so many things at one time, including me.
Mhm.
I'm guilty of it sometimes as well, but being aware that we can't, because
Yeah.
that is just more stress. Let's do this one thing right now. We're talking, let's talk. We're writing in our journal, let's write in the journal, right? We're spending time with the kid, let's spend time with the kid, right? Like, one thing. And, I
Mm.
challenge you all, whoever's listening, try that tomorrow, right? When you wake, just think one thing at a time, one thing for the day, right? So if I'm doing this, I'm
Yeah.
doing stop and then go to the next thing, one thing at a time.
That was so good, Wendy. Like, one thing, like, this world will have you thinking you can do 10 things at once because we always have the phone in our hand. So we're talking, we're trying to be present, we're looking at our phone, we're trying to schedule emails, trying to grocery shop, trying to, oh, and be present here. Like, life does not work that way. Like, I love that being present, like with what you're doing, that one thing. Because and then you'll also, like, I know I've struggled with, well, I'm going to miss out if I do one thing. But no, you're just going to be spread way too thin all over and not giving your best and not showing up in your purpose fully because you're spreading yourself so thin. So, really practicing being present, focusing, like you said, if we're going to talk, let's talk. Like, allotting the time. And I think that's powerful. I think that could really help someone, the one thing at a time. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to think one thing at a
Yeah, I
time
was
to
gonna say that
do.
mentally. Yeah, mentally. You can be doing one thing, but your mind is like, oh, like your body's here, but you're like, into tomorrow already, like mentally, right? So it's like really
Mm,
honing in and training ourselves. And it's hard. It's hard
yeah.
because like you said, your mind is taking control. And that's what I always say. True stress management, true
Mm,
stress management is about taking back control of your mind.
ooh,
That's what it
mm,
is. It's taking back control of your mind. And it's something we have to do every day because how
yes.
do we make decisions? It's taking control of your mind.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
That's really what it is. And we're not used to that. So people need assistance to help them train themselves to take control of your mind. And we all can do it. Not that it's easy, but we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. One day at a time. One day at a time. I hear you. I love that. Starting with your mind. Like, it all comes from what you think about yourself, what you say to yourself. So if you want to put in those actions, you want to show up a certain way, you want to do those healthy things, start with your mindset first. That's what I always say. Like, be kind to yourself. You can't be a sergeant out here and be like, you got to think one thing at a time. Think one thing, it's a process. So being kind to your mind in that process, like, okay, I'm aware the thoughts they're all jumbled. So, like, one thought at a time. What is most important right now? I think that's how I kind of prioritize. That's how I'll, like, work on things. Just like, what is important right now? What do I have in my hands right now? What am I working on right now? And then going from there. I think that has kind of helped me in the past to just
Yeah.
stay focused, to be present. And I love those self-care things that you shared. As a mom, as a caregiver, as someone that gives to so much to everyone else, like, I love that you're really talking about, that alone time. That's great to know that there's gonna be alone time, that there has to be alone time. How do
Yeah.
you fit that
Yeah.
in? How do you do that?
Yeah, my husband. And I want to
Mm,
say that all those self-care modalities that I just named, it's my husband because I have to say I need a
mm,
massage tonight. Like tonight. I need a half an hour. And to me that's asking for help, right? I'm
mm,
asking for help. Like I need you to create this for me, right? I need you to help
mm.
me get this, right? So if you're watching the baby, you're do what, but I'm going to him saying, I need this. And he honors that, right? But it's really like for me, I have to have that support. But if you don't, then you just making that time for yourself to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And one thing you were saying about the one thing, creating routines is important, right? And that whole discipline. I'm still working on that. Right. Because it's not just me. I'm not just by myself,
Mm,
right? It's me and everyone else. But routines, discipline can also help because when I wake up in the morning, I am going to maybe say prayer. I'm going to take a couple of breaths. Then I'm going to get out of bed, right? Then
mhm,
I'm going to go to the bathroom. Then I'm going to brush my teeth. What am I going to do there, right? So then I'm going to take a shower, right? One thing. What time are you going to
mhm.
pick up your phone? When you get dressed, right? So you kind of and don't have the phone like next to you. But so you create these routines or systems for yourself if this is what you want to do, right? Because again, this is a decision you have to make. But these are ways you can do it, and it's so much better if you're doing it with a group. Like Fallon, your community is amazing. You guys have challenges going on. Like that's what you need, right? So you can check in, like, oh, I didn't do this today. This is day 2 of the challenge. I didn't. But those challenges are amazing. It's really helping people create the discipline, create healthy routines. So important.
I love that. Yes, the power of a routine. That is gold for sure. And if you're, even if you're with the whole gang, if you're by yourself, like how you can make that decision to choose, like, okay, I want a routine. I have these systems. We have systems for everything else, right? Like work, we know what time we're going to check in, we know what time we're going to show up. Why can't we do those things for ourselves? Creating those systems, no matter how small, minute they are, like you said, like just starting off the day with a prayer, with a breath, like that's something that centers you. And it starts with that decision. I love this conversation. This has been amazing, Wendy. You are so full of knowledge. I'm just like, what? Like, what are we going to name this thing? And I think I want to name it One Thing at a Time. I really, really like that. Out of all things, like, it's so simple, but so true. Like one thing at a time. And that's a great way to slow yourself down, to get yourself to really think. Like you said, the journaling, like it's a training. It's over time. It takes a process. But communities help so much. So thank you for that shout out. Yes, my Facebook community. And we just started the Summer Wellness Challenge, and we're holding each other accountable. It's just about creating healthy routines during the summer. Like life can be so busy. So definitely check out that. The link and all of those information will be in my show notes if you want to join us for the Summer Wellness Challenge. So one more thing before we get you going, Wendy. What is one thing you would tell your younger nursing self when she just started fresh Wendy?
Yeah, I think one thing I would tell myself is to slow down. Yeah. So I am that same person now. I go and I do have to still tell myself to slow down because I was in nursing school. I was working 2 jobs. I was doing clinical. I was doing all the things, traveling back to Boston. I had so much going on. So yeah, I would tell Wendy to slow down, but I don't know if she slowed down and she would be where she is now. I don't know, but I'm just saying. Um, but yeah, I think I would say slow down. It's funny that you asked that because I was telling my husband, like, for me, I grew up in Boston, the inner city. I don't come from a rich family, right? So for me, going to school was like my way out of making my own path for myself, so to speak. And it's kind of like it's a mindset, right? So even like the way I operate now, my husband and I were talking. I said, "So when did you know like that you made it, right? And you can stop operating like on crazy, like But because like we're kind of ingrained. But then again, like I said, you create your own path. So you have to make the decision to say, I'm not operating on crazy anymore, right? I'm going to operate here. So it's a daily process, but I think we have to think about our mindset. Where did that come from? Where did it originate from, right? Is it from childhood? Is it from what someone said to you? Is it because you're looking for external validation? I think it's important to explore that, right? So for me, I know my hustle was like, okay, just from where I grew up, I know I don't want to be there. This is where I want to be. So this is what I have to do, right? So it's kind of ingrained in me, but I'm aware of it, right? So then I can make the shifts that I need to make.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Literally what I was talking about with my therapist, just that hustle bustle mode, that hustle culture. And like you said, you're operating and you're going on 100 and you don't even know why. So you can't really like adjust. you can't really be like, okay, I'm getting triggered. This is I need to slow down. I need to, so I love that self-awareness piece of, yes, I'm driven. I want to do, I want to go, I want to help, I want to serve. But knowing, okay, hey, there's a reason why this is ingrained in me. How can I make sure that I'm working on me, slowing down, taking time for my self-care? Like, it's a good thing. Like, I'm thankful, and I feel that way too, because I'm so driven. I'm passionate. It's part of my purpose. This is what I want. This is how I want to move forward. But knowing, like, okay, this is something that I need to work on. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're driven, but knowing when to slow down. And especially for young nurses out here, they're wanting to get into travel nursing already. They get there 1 year and they're like, I'm going traveling and doing those 13 shifts in a row. Like, I see you, sis. I see you. I get it. Get the money. I love it. But know your triggers, know yourself. Make time to slow down. Take things one day at a time. Do that one thing. And then, just be flexible with yourself. Give yourself grace. So many amazing things that you shared with us today, Wendy, just from your expertise. Let everyone know how we can connect with you. If somebody is interested in joining the Stress Blueprint or finding out more about you, how can we get connected with you?
Go to stressblueprint.com and schedule a call. You can listen to the podcast there. Anything you need is on that website, stressblueprint.com. And before we go, I want to say this to everyone. It's probably what I would have said to my younger self too. Get a mentor. Get a mentor, someone that does not work with you, not the person who's orienting you to the floor or your job, someone outside of that. Get a mentor. Very, very, very important. When I was younger, Wendy, I didn't have a mentor. When I was in nursing school, I didn't have a mentor. Mentors are powerful.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you so much, Wendy. I'm still just like processing everything we talked about, mentorship, leadership, all of those things what you just said right now. Like, if somebody would have told me that sooner, I wish maybe I would have listened. Maybe I wouldn't have. Like, some people want to just figure things out on their own, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can make some adjustments to it. You can fix the speed, whatever you want to do. But you don't have to reinvent it. And nursing, we need each other. We need support, because this is a profession like no other. We are the most trusted profession. We give so much. So making sure that you have those healthy communities and that healthy support is so important. How would somebody, the last question I'll ask you, how would somebody find a mentor? How do you suggest someone just say, like, is it a impromptu, like, formal thing, like, hey, you want to be my mentor? Can we meet this day? Or is it like, I gotta search up online, on LinkedIn? Look, I've been looking. I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah, thinking about what you want to do, what you think you want to do, and someone who's doing that. So someone that's a couple of steps ahead of you, someone you can trust, and you have to interview. You can't just say, "Oh, this person looks like a great mentor," right? It's kind of like, no, you need to interview, like, get to know them, create relationships, network, figure out, who people really are. Not who they are on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, but who are they? Like, have a conversation with them. And then you get the feel, like, can this person really mentor you? And then ask. So it is kind of formal, so they can hold you accountable. They are interested in you, right? They're going to invest time in you. They want to know your goals. They want to, they want to tap into that purpose, right? So yeah, I think it takes time. It takes time, but there are a lot of mentors out there, and I'm open to mentorship, to be a mentor. I have a mentor, so mentorship is very important, and it's powerful.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Oh, so many great things. Like, mentorship is important. Like, you have to have that conversation and be okay with, hey, asking for what you need. Like, hey, this is something I want to grow in. This is an area. So I love that you shared that. That's definitely important. I love it. Thank you so much, Wendy. It's been awesome having you. Y'all, please go check out Wendy in her podcast, the Nurse Wellness Podcast, as well, and all of the wonderful things that she's working on. She always has workshops that she's putting out. She's a great mentor for new nurses, like all the things that she's doing as a mom, as entrepreneur, as just Wendy. We appreciate you here on the You Glow Nurse Podcast, and we hope to see you very, very soon, Miss Wendy. Talk to you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye. There you go. All right, y'all. What a wonderful way to end out our conversation with Wendy. Y'all, I have just enjoyed so much of the conversation, just really breaking down how stress can lead you further to your purpose. You know, we want to be out here living the soft life and just feeling so smooth and just easy and just going, but look, life happens and it's okay. It's part of the process. Like Wendy has shared with us, it led her to making a powerful decision. One decision led to another, and then here she is sharing her journey, encouraging others along the way in entrepreneurship and beyond. So I am so happy to have shared this conversation with you all, and I look forward to hearing more about how your purpose has elevated through this conversation. Like I said earlier, if you're ready to start making decisions for your health, nurses, if you're ready to put your health and healing first, keeping up with those routines, those healthy routines, and you're ready for a reset, join our summer challenge going on now. The link is below. All you have to do is send me a DM. Join me on Facebook, on Instagram, and just send me a DM like, I am ready to join the Summer Wellness Challenge, and we'll put in the work. We are working out at least 30 minutes a day. We're drinking our water 2 to 3 liters a day. We're journaling and we're getting sleep. Those are the 4 things. It's 4 things. Oh, and I think doing a stretch every day. That's the routines that we're building. Once you nourish yourself, once you pour into you, you can then become more self-aware about what your body needs and what it needs to get to that next purpose, to get to that next level. So self-care is so important to your nurse wellness journey. Don't just run on fumes out here, nurses. Take care of yourself, and the Summer Wellness Challenge can help you do just that. Y'all, this has been amazing. I am so happy, and I can't wait to chat with you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on the podcast. And I'll see you later. Bye.